Hey everyone, I'm Nikki Vachon. I'm a college access counselor at FAME, and I'm joined by the beautiful Jessica Whittier, who is my partner down south. We're going to talk to you about affording education as an adult. But before we start, just want to say there's a lot happening in the financial aid world. A lot of changes are coming at us fast and furious. So I'd love to have you all sign up for our text and emails. You can scan the QR code on the screen, or you can go to famemain.com/join so that we can give you updates as they happen. All right, Jess, let's tell them what we're going to talk about. Can you go to the next slide? So how do we finance higher education as an adult? It's a little bit different from high school students, but sometimes the same. So we're going to talk about how to apply for financial aid as an adult. This is the #1 source of aid to help you pay for school. So we're going to talk about that financial aid process as an adult, how it looks a little bit different from high school students first. And then we're going to talk about the kind of aid that is available, scholarships. There's a lot of workforce development programs. I don't know if you know in Maine, but we have a shortage of employees, trained employees. So the state is working hard to make sure that we have a really good trained workforce. And then we have some of the resources that we're going to share. So let's jump into the next. I'm going to tell you about kind of an overview of what the financial aid process looks like. So next slide. All right, so this is sort of like an overview of the timeline of what financial aid looks like. So first, the student is going to create what's called an FSA ID. This is a username and password that the student needs to get into the FAFSA. The FAFSA is this one online form that applies you for a bunch of different aid programs. You can also list a bunch of different schools. You can list up to 20 schools to receive the FAFSA. So in order to get in to do the FAFSA that lives at studentaid.gov, the student needs to create what's called an FSA ID. That's a username and password we're going to need for a bunch of different things, but we're going to need it to get into the FAFSA. Now, normally in October, the FAFSA opens every year. Pro tip, get in there and do your FAFSA as soon as you can when it opens, because that's how, some of the aid is first come, first serve. So we want to do that usually in October. This year's FAFSA, the one that we're working on now that provides aid for next academic year, that became available in January. So right now, Jess and I are running the roads trying to help people fill out the FAFSA for next year's FAFSA right now, when normally we would be doing this in the fall. It's because we've completely, not we, Department of Education has completely rebuilt.
Nobody asked our opinion.
Yeah, no one asked our opinion, but it's rebuilt and it is better. I will say that. So normally this would happen in the fall. Then when you hit submit, it gets sent out to all the schools that you've listed on the FAFSA. And then normally the schools receive it like within a week or so. This year, schools aren't going to be receiving FAFSAs until March. Okay, so that's a change because the FAFSA is still being built as we're using it, sort of like being on an airplane on a runway, and we're taking off on the runway and they're still building the engine. So this is kind of why we're waiting until March to get that. So the schools won't get FAFSAs until March. Students won't be able to go back in and see the end result of their FAFSA until March as well. And if the student needs to make any corrections in March, they can go ahead and do that. Now, we want students to be watching their email and their mail, because after you file the FAFSA, the school may need more follow-up information. So just keep in mind to watch your email and your mail to see if the school needs anything. Then the student, if something is needed, sends the information back. The school will send an aid offer. And now this is just a letter saying that if you come to our school, this is how much aid we can offer you. That is probably going to come about April or May this year because of the delay. Now, ideally, the student compares aid offers before making a decision. So I know a lot of students make their decisions before that aid offer comes, but we always want people to wait to make sure that school's going to be affordable before they sign on the dotted line for that. Now the student decides where they want to go. The student has to tell the school they want that money. So they have to accept it in some way. A lot of schools are using portals where you go on, log in, check off and say, yes, I do want this money. or some schools will send you a form. When the school realizes that you are accepting that aid, they're going to go ahead and process it, and you should see that in the bill like this summer. Okay, that is the overview. Jess, you want to take us a little deeper dive into that whole FAFSA process?
Absolutely. All right, so let's talk first. Today we are talking. Nikki and I mostly work with high school students, and just the vast majority of our time is working with high school students heading up to college. But we also work with a good number of adult learners as well, so people who are out of high school for a little while. And so these are the things that would make a student automatically an independent student. So one of them is to be over the age of 24 before January 1st of the academic year you are filing the FAFSA for. So the 24-25 FAFSA runs from roughly August, September of 2024 through summer of 2025. And so as long as during that year, at least halfway through that year, you turn 24, you will be automatically an independent student. If you are married, not separated, you'll be independent. If you're a graduate, so heading into a master's degree, if you're a veteran, a member of the armed forces, so the only exclusion to that is if you are in the National Guard and you have never been deployed. So Guard and I think Reserve as well. So if you've never been deployed, that's not technically considered a veteran or a member of the armed forces in this scenario. But if you were ever deployed, even once, then you get to say that you're a veteran. Orphans, wards of the court, if you were in foster care after turning age 13, if you were in legal guardianship, and you continued to be in legal guardianship at the time you turned 18, and emancipated minors, unaccompanied and homeless or at risk of homelessness. So roughly there are 13 things that can make you an independent student. So if you are an independent student and you fall into one of these categories, then when you are filling out the FAFSA form, it's going to ask you these questions. And then, however, if you are saying, well, goodness, I am looking at all of these scenarios and I don't really fall into any of these categories. I'm under the age of 24. I'm not married. I don't have children of my own. There are a variety of things that, those things, but I don't really have the ability to provide my parents information. You may have an unusual circumstance. So they do give, there's a question on the FAFSA that allows you to answer yes to the unusual circumstance. So I see this. So you'll see some of the options here. So left home due to abusive, threatening environment. And I will say, I think that top one is the one we probably work with the most. Students who are on their own and going back home really isn't an option for a variety of reasons. They may have been kicked out, told to leave. But otherwise it might just be that even communicating with that parent would create a hardship for the student. Those are situations where the student would click yes to the student unusual circumstance question, and then they would reach out to the colleges. So colleges are going to ask them questions, so they'll be able to communicate with those colleges and let them know what that circumstance is. Colleges might have some additional questions for them, and they might not, depending on what the statement. New this year is that financial aid professionals can use the statement you give them as their documentation, which in the past they've needed more. They may still ask you for more depending on the school and the financial aid office that's asking, but for most or for some of them, might just go with what you're able to offer. So after you fill out that FAFSA, or in order to fill out that FAFSA, so once you've deemed I am an independent student, and you're going to go and fill out that FAFSA form, one of the very first things that you need is an ID. So it is a username and password. We call them FSA IDs, although we are told that name may change sometime soon. So just know that it is the username and password that you are going to use to log in to studentaid.gov. You'll use it to file your FAFSA. It acts as your login and as your signature. It is also what you will use if you want to look at things like if you take out student loans and you want to view your student loan balance or who your servicer is or where that money is. If you would like to maybe someday apply for student loan forgiveness, it's going to be that same account that's used for all of those different purposes. So you are creating the username, you get to pick it. You are creating the password, you get to pick it. And then you get to write it down. And so this is the most important part of this part of the process is you're going to use this once a year. And almost everybody forgets what they did. So write it down, put it someplace safe, make sure you remember what your username and password are. Make sure the email account that you're using is one that you're going to be able to access going forward. So if I was thinking I might retire in the next year or two, I might not use my FAME email account. I probably wouldn't use my FAME email account anyways, but just those things to keep in mind because you're going to use this email and the cell phone all the way through college. Every student needs an ID, and if the student is not an independent student, so if they need to file with their parents, if they need to file with their parents, then one or both of their parents could need an ID. For independent students, if you're married and you file your taxes separately from your spouse, then your spouse will need an ID as well. So if you file together, if you are married filing jointly, all you're going to need is one ID, just yours, because when it pulls the information from the IRS, it only needs one of you to give it permission to do so. So when it comes to completing, the little circles off, completing the 24-25 FAFSA, you are going to actually go to just a little bit right of that circle and you're going to click on FAFSA form, and that will take you to this page. So you'll be able to start the 24-25 FAFSA. It's free. FAFSA stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. The word free is in the title. Normally, it is available on October 1st of every year. So you should be able to, next year, when you are renewing your FAFSA form for your second year of college, you should be able to go in and do that as early as October 1st. We're fairly confident that they'll work out all the bugs by then. And
they will. It'll be great.
We'll be good to go. So whose information goes into your FAFSA form? So for an independent student, it's certainly going to be your information. And if you are married, it will also be your spouse. So again, if you do not file taxes with your spouse, if you do not file jointly, then you are going to invite them to also complete their portion of the FAFSA form. However, if you file jointly, all you have to do is tell FAFSA a little bit about them, and then you're done. But again, if you file separately, or if you were recently married, so that's another thing that might happen, and I'm trying to think. So what it'll do is, I'm trying to think, Nikki, so if they're recently married, it's going to pull in their information, their tax information for 2022, and it's going to want the spouses for 2022.
Yes.
Yes.
I think it may come into a situation where their filing status might be different. I'm just trying to think that through. If they're filing as head of household and they're married, the FAFSA may say, hey ho, that's not necessarily how you can do it, and you have to hand enter your income information. So it's always a great idea to have your tax returns handy when you fill out the FAFSA, because it may ask for some more information that you have to hand enter at that point.
Right. And the one thing I didn't mention too is back when you are creating those FSA IDs, the usernames and passwords, it takes 3 days for it to go through the verification process with the IRS to make sure you are who you say you are. And then you really need to wait. You really should wait until it is verified before you do the FAFSA. every now and then, because I'll tell most people you don't have to put in any tax information, and then every now and then I'll have a family where they have to. Come to find out, they didn't wait those 3 days, and so then you have to enter it manually, and it could potentially mess things up for you. So please, please wait the 3 days and make sure that your ID is verified. So yeah, but there are scenarios like Nikki was just mentioning where your filing status has changed. So it's just like the feds are going, well, we can't quite determine that the information that we'll pull from the IRS is going to be accurate for you at this moment. So in those scenarios, you might have to manually enter your information into the FAFSA form. If you need any help with that, give us a call. We are happy to help. But for most of you, it will be super easy. You'll just invite that spouse if you need to, or just add their information as well. Then once you get started, one of the other questions, and this is new this year, you are going to approve. So give your consent and approval to have your information pulled directly from the IRS. That's going to be really important because that is how it gets all that tax information and makes this FAFSA super easy for you. If you do not press approve, you do not get any financial aid. Excuse my cough, guys. And once you file the FAFSA, and it has been processed, which is going to happen in March, or so we are told. So you will get an email saying that your FAFSA has been processed, and you'll be able to go back and look at your FAFSA submission summary. So again, you'll go back to studentaid.gov. You'll be able to check this out. So this is a document that's going to tell you a bunch of information about what you qualify for federal financial aid. It is also going to include your SAI, your student aid index number on it. And because of that, there are scholarships that may want a copy of this. So I believe one of the, we'll talk about in a minute, the Adult Learner Scholarship is going to want a copy of this. And that's one of the great scholarships for non-traditional students, for adult learners. And there are others as well, and they want a copy of this form. So just kind of keep that in mind, save a PDF of it to your computer. And then all of that information that's in that FAFSA submission summary is also being sent to the colleges that you indicated on your FAFSA form. Again, you can list up to 20. If you are thinking of applying to 20 colleges, please give us a call so we can help you narrow that down. All right. And then once you filled out that form, what's the whole point? What is it going to do for you? So these are just some of the things that FAFSA can do, or these are the primary things. So certainly first is federal federal aid. So the federal Pell Grant, that is a grant that is money that you do not have to pay back. You could also qualify or are likely to qualify for a federal student loan, which you can choose to take out or not, depending on your choice. But you'll be considered for the federal Pell Grant based on your student aid index number. So if you're on that lower end, below 6,000, you may qualify for some Pell Grant. If you are, but everybody, regardless of SAI student aid index, will qualify for the student loan. There's also the Mainstay Grant, and that is for students from Maine going to school in Maine, again with one of those lower student aid index numbers, who also file their FAFSA before May 1st. However, do you know for the adult learners, they've always kind of extended it. Do you know if they'll continue to do that, Nikki?
Yeah, so for the first year that an adult learner is applying for aid, like for the first time, they don't really have a deadline, because most adult learners, they lost a job and they're like, I'm gonna go back to school tomorrow. So they didn't really plan ahead. So there is no deadline for the first year, but going forward, you have to get that FAFSA done by May 1st. Now, because of the pandemic and we didn't have a lot of people applying, we were able to remove the deadline. But let's just play it safe. Everybody get their FAFSA done as soon as possible before May 1st, so we can make sure, because that's a lot of money. That's a big chunk of free money. So we'll get her done.
And then the other thing that filling out the FAFSA can do is get you money from the colleges themselves. And so depending on the institution you're planning to attend, some of them have a lot of money to give away. So again, the earlier you file that FAFSA, the sooner you get in line for whatever money those colleges are giving away.
All right. So we want you to do the FAFSA because that really gets you your run at the first pot of money, right? We want to go after the big money first. But then what if you still need money after that? There's a lot of scholarships and a lot of programs that are designed to help people pay for the rest of it so that you don't have to take out a student loan. And let me just first off say, a lot of people do not apply for scholarships. They think it's, you're busy, it takes a lot of time, you're not going to get anything anyway. Let me just tell you, your chances of getting a scholarship are way better than you think they are. So here are some great ones that we love referring people to. Want to start with the Adult Learner Scholarship. Just mentioned it a few minutes ago. This is given out by Maine Community Foundation. I got their website at the bottom of the screen. And this is for adult learners, right? They have two different programs. They have a short-term credential award and a long-term scholarship. The short term is for programs that are less than a full semester, where the applicant is going to get a certificate or a workforce credential, but not a degree. This has a rolling deadline, so you can always apply for this. There is a long-term scholarship award, and this is for programs that last more than a full semester, and is also for people who are going to be in a 2-year certificate or a 2 or 4-year degree program. This application is going to open on April 1st, and they have two deadlines, June 15th and November 15th every year. So just keep in mind, put this on your to-do list in April. There's multiple scholarships they give out. So this isn't just one that's super competitive. They give away multiple scholarships. All right, move on, Jess.
I just want to point out on this one, the other thing that is all of those eligibilities it has the word or. So you only need to meet one of them. So you're saying, well, gosh, I'm not 25, but for whatever reason, I am considered an independent student already because I have a kid, or I got married, or I was in the military, or any of those things. And then the last one, maybe you just stopped high school and went to work for a year or two, and you want to come back and you're not 25 yet, that still makes you eligible for the Adult Learner Scholarship.
Mm-hmm. And then on our website, we have a scholarship search page, which is pretty robust. And we limit this to scholarships that are available to Maine students, or there are some that are for New England students. But you can go in there and you can filter down, open to postgrads. You can filter by your the major that you have. But there's all kinds of scholarships in here. And there's one right now, Central Maine Credit Union scholarships, that are available right now that has no age limit. Like, it's not just for high school seniors, it's for anybody. So go check that out. Find a bunch of them to apply for. And another pro tip I want to say, the more you apply for scholarships, the easier it gets. A lot of scholarships are asking for the same thing. They want an essay, tell us how great you are. They want a copy of the FAFSA. They want, maybe your transcripts or your resume. So every time you apply, just put those in a folder on your computer so that you can use them to reapply over and over again. But there's a bunch of ones on the FAME website. All right, Jess, you can move ahead. Other adult scholarships, the University of Maine system has an adult degree completion. Always check at the college you're looking at to see if they have any separate scholarship applications. I know a lot of colleges do have like their own pots of money they give out, but they are given by donors they're looking for a specific thing. Like maybe they're looking from like a redheaded kid from Aroostook County, and Jess and I would both be able to apply for that, right? Look at your bank. University Credit Union has a scholarship program. The Richard Pierce Scholarship Program is available right now. People can apply for that right now. And it's for people who intend to enroll next year or are already enrolled in college. So even while you're in college, you can keep going after those scholarships. There's an association of non-traditional students for higher education. By the way, when I didn't even know about this until I started doing some research for this presentation, that site has a whole list of scholarships to apply for. I will say that you're going to find scholarships like the Orange Soft Women in Technology. That deadline has passed November 13th. Keep in mind that if you find something that's going to be great for you, that's coming back around. Like you can apply next year. So just like I would say if you want to apply for this, maybe look in October, a month out to the deadline, and it's probably going to be available again. All right, we'll go to the next one. The Career Center has the CSSP program, Competitive Skills Scholarship Program, which is not only great funding to help pay for school, but they also have people that can help work with you on whatever barrier comes up. Like when you're in college, things happen that might derail your education. We don't want that. We're investing in you. We want to make sure you succeed. So they have people that can help with that. To be eligible for this, you have to be at least 18 years old or graduated from high school, live in Maine. They do need they need you to be working in a high demand, high wage job, and they have a list you can link to. It is extensive. There's a lot of high need, high wage jobs in Maine. So
Business is one of them.
yeah, I mean, like I just looked this morning because I have someone who's doing human resources and that's in there. So there are eligibility qualifications like income, but check it out. I will say that when you apply for one of these programs, if you don't meet the eligibility, a lot of these organizations know about another program you might qualify for. So don't get disappointed or think maybe you can't get it because sometimes it can be very flexible. Okay. The whole program is for parents who are going back to school or in college. And so you have to be a parent or a caretaker of a minor child that is living with you. And this is ages 16 to 64. That's quite a range. So this one is, again, not just a program that helps with funding for a lot of things, not just tuition and fees, but like um, health issues or medical bills or like transportation, things like that. So it's not just help paying for school, but it's help paying for those other barriers that might derail your education. There is financial qualifications, but again, reach out to them, talk to someone. They are amazing. I love this program. And I don't feel like enough people are taking advantage of this. So there's like a lot of room for people to join. All right. The SNAP Employment and Training Program is for people that are getting SNAP benefits, food stamps to get job training so that they can help get a good paying job. And this is another program that you may not be receiving SNAP benefits, but in talking to them, you might qualify for SNAP benefits so you can get food stamps, but also some help paying for school. So again, another place that offers job search training and assistance. They help with books, tools, equipment, jobs, like a lot of the soft skills that people need. Like this is a person to help work with you while you're in college as well.
Yeah,
Right?
I will say one of the things that when I worked at York County Community College, I had students who would have like car issues. They'd have a flat tire or something like that. Like those kind of small bills, they may seem, to some of us as, you just take care of them. But if you're a student trying to get this all done, sometimes that can be really, really tough. So programs like Hope and SNAP, if you qualify for them, those are the kinds of things that they can just help out with. You don't have to worry about it. They'll take care of the bill and off you go. And so you're not missing time on your education.
Absolutely. You can go to the next one. Eastern Maine Development Corp. This is one of those ones where they have a series of programs to help people. And I find that it's like kind of constantly changing. Like they maybe get a grant to help people who have been affected by the opioid crisis. Or so they didn't have necessarily an eligibility list, but they always want people to contact them, see if you qualify for one of their programs, and they can help pay for education or any of those other barriers. This is another program that, again, I want to call it like a guidance counselor for adults, but like someone that can help you with that career search or, what might be a great pathway, or is there maybe an apprenticeship that might help instead of higher education? So another great program, you can email them at workforce@emdc.org.
Yeah,
All right.
another great thing that EMDC does as well is, so my daughter Margot did the adult ed path to graduate from high school. So that's how she got connected with EMDC. And they help her get job shadows. So where she can go in for one day and be there, and they pay her. So figure out if she might like to do that. So if you are looking maybe for that type of opportunity where you could just try something for a day and see if it interests you, they're a great resource to check out.
Awesome. I didn't know they did that. Thanks,
They
Jess.
do. It's awesome.
Healthcare training for me is a program that helps healthcare workers level up, right? So if they are currently working in healthcare, but they want to get a higher credential, this is an organization that not only helps but guide their pathway to get that higher education, but will help pay for it. So an amazing organization. And again, this has different types of programs. So I just referred somebody to them because I don't know like which schools offer what programs. They do. So if you are interested in a healthcare position that maybe you don't work in healthcare now, but this is like your pathway you want to go, this is a great way to get a job and then have some training that they'll help pay for to do that. And they cover a lot of the costs in this situation. All right, Jess, can you move me forward?
I can.
Also want to talk about Maine Community College has a workforce training program through the Alphon Foundation. They offer constantly changing programs. These are free short-term programs. Some of them are online, some of them are in person, some of them pay you to get the training. Like while you're there, you learn on the job. So this is a great place. I always like to go and see what's being offered now at which campuses. So this is what's currently being offered. Some of them are online and some of them are in person. All right, I'm going to hand this back over to Jess.
All right. So some additional things to think about if you are thinking, well, I would like to go back to school or like to continue my education and I'm looking for ways to make it work for me. One of the places we always suggest that you start is with, maybe if you're currently employed, check with your own employer. So those of us who work at Fame, we can have some courses covered. I think most Maine state employees have that ability through their agency or their department. But there are lots of private companies who do as well. And if you are somebody without a job right now and you're just like, I would do anything if they would just pay, these are just some of them. So Tim Hortons, McDonald's has a great program. I was just talking to a student about it last night. Some of these have tuition reimbursements. Some may have scholarships. Hannaford has great scholarships for their employees. I can't see, maybe it's behind my thing, but UPS is one. Yeah, it's right there. So you can work part-time for UPS in their distribution center a few hours a week, and they will pay for you to go back to school. So there are some really great programs out there through employers. So that is a great way. So employers can write a lot of this off. So if your employer currently does not provide a tuition reimbursement, it might be worth asking them about it and whether that's something they may want to explore. We have a lot of additional resources out there. So on our website, if you go to famemaine.com/publications, you can request our lifetime learning kit. So we will send you it's a folder with all kinds of great information in it about being an adult student and some of the resources that are out there, and we'll make sure that you are covered. Our website has lots of stuff on it. So again, take a look at our website. You can see most of those same resources are there. If you are a new Mainer, so if you're new to the state of Maine and you've immigrated from another country, we have a specialist at Fame who works specifically with our new Mainers. Her name is Florica Melwal. I know I can see that she is watching us right now as one of the attendees. She is fabulous, amazing. And so if you are in that boat and you're looking at trying to go back to school, she has some additional resources that are out there for students who might still be in the process of becoming a citizen of the United States. And we have a ton of videos on our YouTube page. Please check those out. Also just on our website as well. But we do have some for adult learners as well, including one just for scholarships. So maybe you are listening to us today or whatever day you are listening to us in the future. We will, for those of you who we haven't said so yet, We will put this up. It'll be up on YouTube and on our website, and we will send a copy of this presentation and the PowerPoint out to those of you who are in attendance today. But maybe you have been to school before, right? So you've gone to college and you're feeling a little burned by it because you have some debt now, and you're in a position where you, depending on the situation, you have not been able to get out from under that debt, and you might be in default. So one of the things that's really great right now, and again, I think these things all came out of the pandemic, but also I think just our current president, it seems to be a priority of his. And so there is a program called Fresh Start, and this is going to allow you to get your loans, your federal loans, out of default. And so the best way to do that is to contact them. So you can actually also begin the application on their website, but you can give them a call and start having a conversation about where your debt is, so where those federal loans are currently. And then they will help you put them into a program that would allow them to immediately come out of default, which will immediately improve your credit score. Yay. And then start to build a plan so you can pay them off. So they're not going to go away necessarily with this program, but it is going to allow you to get them back into a place where they're manageable again. And you can get into one of the programs, the new federal repayment programs that might work better for you. If you have questions about that as well, certainly give them a call. You can also give us a call at Fame, and we're happy to walk you through the process. Another way that you can pay that bill is to save. So of course, if you are independently wealthy and you have a giant bank account, certainly just use that to pay for college, right? That's great. If that's not you and you are still looking, it is still possible, even as you are going to school, to save as you go and get some benefits. So we have a program, or the state of Maine has a program called Next Gen. Next Gen is a college savings account. And yes, every baby born in Maine automatically has $500 put in their Next Gen account. I said that wrong. Every Maine resident baby it has $500 put in their Next Gen account. But if you are not a baby and you would still like somebody to give you some money, you can open a Next Gen account with $25. That first $25 will instigate this initial grant, on opening your account. So the initial matching grant. After that, every dollar you put in, the state of Maine will match you, or Next Gen will match you 30 cents on the dollar, up to another $1,000 a year. Sorry. So if you put in 1,000, they'll put in 300. So up to another $300 a year. And that is called the, trying to find my words here. Sorry. The Next Step Matching Grant.
Matching grant.
In addition, if you set that up on automatic payments, so if you set it up so every month you're putting in $100 or whatever it is, once you've made 6 automatic payments, or 6 months worth of automatic payments, you'll also get another $100 put in that account. So in the first year, you have the ability to have $500 put in that account for you, just by you saving money that you would have been spending on college anyway. So and that works for adult learners. Certainly, if any of you have kiddos, you could do this for them as well. So I had some kiddos who missed the automatic $500 deadline, but I was, just by doing it myself this way, we're able to catch them back up. So check out nextgenforme.com to learn more about the Next Gen program. So we talked a little bit about savings already. So, save as much as you can. And we say summer jobs, and, I think this slide we use a lot with high school students, but I will say, this is an interesting little gig economy right now. Lots of opportunities for people to have small jobs, even from home, from their computer, where they might earn an extra $100, $200 a month. It's not huge, but it's something. So look for ways that you might be able to do little things like that to boost your savings. Most colleges have tuition payment plans, which means you can communicate with the colleges ahead of time and say, I can't pay you $2,000 all at once, but I could pay you $200 a month over 10 months. And so they'll help you set up that plan. So you pay that smaller amount every month, and it pays off the bill that you have to the college. There are other financing options. So if you need more than the financial aid being offered by the college and the federal government, you can check out famemaine.com/borrow to learn more about some of the borrowing options out there, including Maine-based student loan lenders. And certainly pay attention at tax time for any tax credits or deductions you will qualify for if you are paying out of your pocket for college, or even if you are paying for your student loan. So usually you can claim student loan payment interest on your tax return each year as well. And certainly stay connected with us, guys. This isn't just, it's just an interesting year. So lots of things happening, and they're happening, like we pride ourselves in knowing what's going on. And this has been just a kind of year where we think we know what's happening, and then they change the game. And that's been tough for us. And we know it's certainly tough for students who are depending on us. So if you want to opt in for texts, you can text FAME to 207-707-5001. You can sign up for emails by going to famemaine.com/join. And then we have a Facebook group that is hopping lately. It is called Paying for College for Me. And so that is a great place to get connected and see things. We will absolutely put things there almost immediately after we learn them. We're sending out emails and texts. It takes us a little bit to draft and do things. Mila, our fearless leader, is very quick to put things up on our Facebook group. And then lastly, if you would like some personal, individual, specialized financial aid counseling, we are happy to do that as well. So if you go to our website and go to famemaine.com/contact and choose free financial aid coaching, you can set up a time to meet with Nikki or I, and we will chat with you about financial aid and paying for college and anything else that you might need to cover. There, we got through the whole thing with time to spare. So questions from you guys. So you can use the chat to send us any questions, or I think you might be able to raise your hand and then we can unmute you. So that might be a scenario. So we'll give you just a few minutes to see if anybody has any questions or anything they'd like us to cover.
While we wait for a question, I will say that tax credit for having someone in the household in college so much helped us pay our bill for our youngest, because we always pay in taxes because Steve has a small business. But when our baby went to college and we got a refund, big night in the Vachon household. But like, we used that extra money to pay for next semester's bill. So that was a huge help, little strategy for paying. And for anyone who has a student loan debt, that the tax credit, educational opportunity tax credit that Maine has, way better this year than it's ever been. So make sure if you're paying on student loans, it's a refundable tax credit on your Maine state tax return. I think up to $2,500. So use that to pay off next year's loan.
It makes me want to take out more student loans. I'm just kidding.
Well, I'm not seeing any questions in the chat, so I feel like everyone has what they need, but please reach out to us. We have our contact information, follow us on our social media, give us a call, shoot us an email. We're here to help.
Wonderful. Thank you guys all for being here today.